Rich and Deb are just, yeah, they're great.
Water?
Thank you.
Yes. You're going to be busy. I'm handing them out.
You're looking.
Thank you. I'm being Mr. Smallwood's assistant.
Nice.
Thank you.
We can call him Smallwood. And you did.
That's right.
There you go.
Not sure.
Yeah, my wife has to go over tonight and count stuff for book fair. They have to run it. Yeah, but I know they have like the big Scholastic kiosk with the credit cards and everything. I'm like, that's pretty sweet. So, yeah. I know, you know, they had parent-teacher conference this week, so my wife does all the meals for me.
Yeah.
The other two don't.
We'd have a few more people.
Yeah. So I'm happy.
Maybe they'll still be coming.
School, you should go ask.
That's awesome.
Yeah, just ask Kirsten. Because they almost always get things done.
Yeah, we do that too.
It's a time. We were asking parent-teacher conferences yesterday, and
Ready for fall.
Yeah. Yeah, it's coming. It does feel great. Yeah. I'm going to Oregon next week, so I hope if the rain holds off, because it's just a perfect time.
Ready? All right. So we'll call to order the Murray City Planning Commission meeting for October 3, 2019. It's a little past our start time of 6:30. That's okay. I want to welcome everybody in attendance and those viewing on Murray City's streaming video feed. So for the audience, introduce the commissioners from your right. Scott Woodbury, Marion Patterson, Phil Markham, Sue Wilson, Lisa Mulkevich, and the staff here tonight. In front on your left are Jim McNulty, at the table Jared Hall, Zach Smallwood, and on the side on the left is Brian Farnsworth. So with that, I want to give a couple meeting guidance to you. I'd ask that we'll all be respectful of each other tonight. And we'll have an opportunity to talk if you'd like to. If you have a telephone or a electronic device, I'd ask that you would turn it off or down so that you respect everybody else in the room. If you have a conversation you'd like to have, sidebar, if you'd take that outside and respect the others here, that would be welcome as well. And if you would like to present, talk, ask that you come up to the microphone, provide your name and address for the record, and those that are wanting to present would give you 3 minutes to present for yourself, and if you're presenting for a group, we give you 5-minute opportunity. So with that, we've got a pretty long agenda, but thank you for the applicants and the staff. I think we should be pretty smooth and go pretty quickly. So item number 1 on the agenda is approval of minutes from our September 5th, 2019 meeting. And I ask the commissioners if they've had an opportunity to review those and have any corrections, comments, or look for a motion for approval.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the September 5th, 2019 Planning and Zoning meeting.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Right. Motion passes. Second item, conflict of interest. Any of the commissioners have a conflict of interest?
No.
No.
Any of the items on the agenda? All right, good. And third item, approval of findings of fact. There are 2 findings of fact. Have the commissioners had opportunity to review those? And if so, take a motion for approval?
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion to approve the findings of fact for Second Chance Thrift Store located at 153 East, 4370 South, unit number 18, and for the Dixon Accessory Dwelling Unit located at 1063 West Aaron Park Circle.
All right, motion, is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed? All right, motion passes. And we'll move on to item number 4, which is the Knighton Accessory Dwelling Unit requesting approval for a conditional use permit to allow an accessory dwelling unit to be located at the property address 6530 South Rothmore Drive. And Zach Smallwood's going to give our presentation. Is the applicant here this evening for that project? Okay, we'll have you come up in a little bit if you'd like.
Thank you, Commissioners. Like you had stated, this is a request from Lenore Knighton to construct an accessory dwelling unit at 6530 South Rothmore Drive. It's just south of 6400 South, located approximately right there. It's in the R18 zone, and accessory dwelling units are a conditional use in the R18 zone, so they are allowed as long as it comes before this body. This is the applicant's site plan, as you can see. So as part of the accessory dwelling unit, there are a couple conditions that are standards of review that we look at. One of those is that they, in addition to the two off-street parking stalls that they must have for their home, for the dwelling itself, the accessory dwelling unit requires an additional 2 off-street parking spaces. So staff has determined that here in the driveway that would be adequate, and as well as there is a long cement path here that would also satisfy that requirement. It is located in the basement of the home. This is just kind of a rough floor plan of the main area of the home. There's a basement entry. You're looking, so north is on your right hand side, so there's a basement entry here. So that's that basement entry with the entrance there. This is 881 square feet. Our ordinance allows up to 1,000 square feet, or 40% of the main dwelling, whichever is less. The 881 square feet equates to roughly 24% of the total of the home, which is 3,748 square feet. So it does meet that requirement. It is a 2-bedroom unit, which again our standards require to can go up to 2 bedrooms. Let's see. I liked the pictometry here better than me going and creeping through people's backyards. So here you can see the entrance to the unit, as well as the rear of the home as well, where you can see some of the windows and things. Let's see. Short-term rentals are not allowed in any single-family home. This would go for an accessory dwelling unit as well. Those are things like Airbnb, VRBO, those types of things where you rent out per night on a website or what have you. And then also the occupancy requirement in accessory dwelling units is that there cannot be more than 2 unrelated adults living in the accessory dwelling unit. It could be up to 2 unrelated adults and their children. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the conditional use permit for the accessory dwelling unit at 6530 South Rothmore Drive, subject to the 13 conditions. Any questions for staff?
Pretty standard.
Thank you.
Would the applicant like to come forward and state your name and your address for the record?
6530 Rockmore Drive.
Please speak into the
Okay.
microphone so we can get it on the
Oh,
recording.
I'm sorry. It's 6500 Rothmore.
6530.
Oh, sorry. He's right.
And now it's recorded,
The
so.
only time
Yeah,
you're gonna be right.
6530 Rothmore Drive is what it is.
All right.
R-O-T-H-M-O-O-R.
Thank you.
Drive.
Have you been able to review these conditions for
Yes,
approval?
we have looked at, yes, we have.
Are you able to comply with them?
Yes, the only thing we haven't gotten done yet is the fire alarm things, but I have an estimate and everything all set up for that. I just needed to make sure I should go ahead, that's all.
Excellent.
We want to make sure we get the code.
All right. Do you have anything else to add for the commissioners?
No,
Add
it's
to
a
the
lovely
staff report?
place. It was, when we moved in, it was an in-law apartment already, and so we've had enough grandchildren coming and going. It's time that we let everybody else share the joy.
Excellent. All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now what?
Now you can sit down and we'll open the meeting for a public comment period. And I will do that. I'll open the meeting for public comment. Does anyone have public comment regarding this agenda item? All right, that's fine. I will close public comment and bring it back to the commissioners for any discussion or a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the conditional use permit to allow an accessory dwelling unit at the property address 6530 South Rothmore Drive, subject to the 13 conditions.
I'll second.
All right, a motion and a second. Any additional discussion? Jared, could you do roll call vote? That's all I'm going to be doing tonight. Yes, that's good.
Well.
You mean we get to hear Zach all night long?
Yes.
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 Yes. Yes.
Yes. All right, so the motion passes. Congratulations and good luck with your accessory dwelling unit. All right, thank you. So we'll move
You can
on.
go.
And that's all.
Yes,
Yes, you can.
the rest of the meeting will be boring.
Hey, now.
Okay, maybe not.
Unless it's their item, then I'll be excited.
All right, agenda item number 5, hidden treasures. Requesting approval of a conditional use permit to allow the operation of a second-hand thrift store on the property located at 284 East, 4500 South. And is the applicant here for that? Okay, excellent. We'll have you come up in a little bit. And Zach will give us staff report again.
Great, thank you, guys. This is a conditional use permit application for a secondhand thrift store. Those are conditional uses. It is located on 284 East, 4500 South. This is Atwood Boulevard, if you're familiar with it, and 4500 South here. I apologize, this map hasn't been updated yet, but it was recently rezoned to CD, which is our commercial development zone. So that would be a nice bright red for you. This is the 3 floors. It's a 4,300 square foot building. It was originally designed as a single family home, but has since gone through changes as 4500 South has developed some office uses to the east. The most recent I could find was a nail salon back in mid-2000s, was the last business that was actually had a license there. So they are coming in and wanting to do a second-hand retail establishment here. So this is the proposed site plan. It does have the, I apologize. So they have provided 15 parking stalls. The ordinance under which we operate typically requires 18 stalls, but it does give the authority of the Planning Commission to accept them as they are, because I can't, there's just not an easy way for me to add stalls onto the property. It's constrained there. So we are suggesting that the Planning Commission accept that, as well as these parking standards are usually made for more busy, kind of big boxy retail establishments. That's kind of what we typically see. Let's see. So there were, I decided to show a number of pictures. This was the pictures I provided at the rezoning. This was earlier this year. There were some items on site that needed to be cleaned up. There were some items left on just kind of in the backyard area, or what would be considered the rear yard area of it, as well as the landscaping. These were as today. It has the landscaping side has been picked up quite a bit. It still doesn't quite meet ordinance, so I would ask that the property owners work with staff to bring that into compliance. And then also, it's not in the staff report, and but I would like, if you guys feel so inclined, that that we put a condition on for no outdoor storage. There seems to be a lot of outdoor storage for this property, and I'd like the commission to discuss that and see if that's an appropriate condition to place on there. So with that, staff does recommend approval of the conditional use permit for the property at 284 East, 4500 South, for the secondhand retail store, subject to the 8 conditions laid out, and potentially the 9th if you guys decide that you'd like to add that one as well. Any questions I can answer for you?
I have one.
Sure.
Zach, regarding the parking.
Sure.
I mean, I know that's, I mean, I'm not an architect, person. I can't say whether there is or isn't room.
Sure.
But, I mean, is that something that the city looked at, the engineer or someone, and said, maybe if we reconfigure it, or, I mean, we're often such sticklers for these things, and now in this case, it's kind of like, well, there's not enough room, so we'll just let it go. So, I just want to make sure that all different options have been looked at, so we
Sure.
can be consistent across all applications.
Sure.
So that's more of my question, I guess.
And we typically don't do, city staff doesn't do site design for applicants. So, but just looking at it and looking at the constraints on the site, there just doesn't seem to be enough room there. You could, I'm trying to think of a different way of possibly doing this.
Diagonal parking.
That's the other one. Okay. I mean, the one you just showed, the little design, that looked like it had a few more. Are those the 3? So I guess there's 15 at the back. Or is there 12 at the back, and then the 3?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
I mean, I agree. I'm just more of, I want to make sure that we make every effort to be consistent.
Sure.
And I know we usually do, but I just want to make sure that that's the case.
Exactly. And yeah, and I did consult with Jared and made sure that this was an okay approach to take before we took it, because it is constrained. Sorry, everything went off.
And part of the reasoning behind that was the type of business going in as well.
Yeah, there were two. The nature of the business, it doesn't have the same level of impact, say, that a Costa Vida or any type of restaurant.
How
type
many
business.
employees are going to be there? Do we know?
I believe it's just her and her husband.
Okay, so just a couple cars. Okay. All right, and I know that it is striped for there is one for ADA, so I know
Yes.
it's covered. I just, again, want to make sure that we've looked at all the options and we're consistent.
For sure.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions for staff? All right, thank you.
Thanks.
Would the applicant please come forward? If you'd state your name and your address for the record, please.
Dana Williams, 284 East, 4500 South in Murray, and this is my husband.
Jacob Williams, same address.
All right. Have you had an opportunity to review the conditions, and are you able to comply with them?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes, we can.
All right. And part of the condition to get a permit to actually have your business, you'll have to comply with them regardless, so. All right, do you have any additional information you'd like to provide to the commission other than the staff report?
Just addressing the parking, I can't see that we would need any more parking. We're probably gonna only have 1 or 2 people coming to our store at a time. It's just a little vintage antique shop, and we're not going to be swarmed with. That'd be nice, but I don't think that's going to happen. It's just not likely, not reality. So really, I can't see, other than our cars, having more than a few clients there at a time.
We kind of touched on it. You're the only 2 that'll be selling
Yeah.
as far as employees.
Just renting the shop, yeah.
Okay.
Some point we might take on 1 employee, but it's just a small
All right.
operation, family-owned, operated.
Right.
And as far as the outdoor storage, we do everything from estates to storage units, and a lot of times we'll take everything, or we'll have donations. So we do have a section that we use to temporarily put metal recycling that then we take to metal recycling within a day or 2. So we do need to be able to do that. We don't, I mean, if we need to, I don't know, put some
Okay.
sort of building to contain it or fence it in. But we do need a place to be able to, things that aren't functioning, to take to metal recycling.
All right. Okay, good. Comments?
You know, I would just like to say, in light of the concern with the parking, I think that even it emphasizes the need to not have the outdoor storage, in my view, because it does take up parking area. And I don't know, I'd like to ask staff in a minute what would need to be done in order to accommodate some metal recycling. But you know, if an enclosure is appropriate or that, but I'm hesitant to deal with that, to be very honest with you.
Or Commissioner Markham, define the time frame. Something sitting there for 8 hours is okay, 3 weeks is not.
Well,
I don't know.
you know, that then it's very, very difficult to enforce and monitor, and yeah. This was a concern that was brought up when we originally discussed the rezoning of the property as well with neighbors, and so I am concerned about that.
So it actually doesn't take up parking. It's over where the we put it all over by where the white enclosure for a dumpster is, and so it doesn't take up extra parking. It's just put over where a dumpster would be. And then we remove it as soon as we can.
So do you not currently have a dumpster? Is there not one there?
No, we take out our own garbage.
Okay.
We take out, so we run to the dump all the time, and so we don't need a
Okay. Well-
dumpster. We do our own dumping and our own metal recycling.
Okay.
I mean,
Well, I guess
we
go
c-
ahead.
Sorry, we could take the metal and the appliances to the landfill the day we acquire them, but
We're trying to be
our concern is,
environmentally
our concern is that we'd be throwing away a lot of, like, it'd just be
Reusables.
wasted,
Yeah,
and it'd just be in a landfill. And so, mostly what we have is stoves and refrigerators.
Mhm.
And with the refrigerators, because of the Freon, they have to be properly disposed of.
Right.
So we have a deal with a company we can take them to, but it's more economical for us to take 8 of them at a time
Yeah.
versus one refrigerator at a time.
Right.
So, I mean, we're willing to work with you guys and do whatever we need to.
Well, I guess like Commissioner Markham said, I'd love to hear what staff says maybe after you sit down and we have some public comment. You know, if you're not using the dumpster, you know, is that an area that's sufficient for a designated outdoor storage area? But like I'll defer to staff when they can come address it later.
And sorry to interrupt.
Oh, you're
but
fine.
We want to block it off either way because we want it to look nice, because we have a lot of high-end clients that come and shop because we sell a lot of really expensive antiques. So we have an incentive to, once the store's open, like, we have an incentive to make the place look nice already. So we're just kind of preemptively letting
Yeah,
you
that
guys know that
area,
that's a thing.
that area is for a dumpster, and then it's just kind of a wasted area with a tree. And we were just thinking of fencing that whole section off just to kind of contain the metal recycling.
Actually, it might be better to just, we've thought about several options, but just having an enclosed trailer there, we could just purchase another one and just have one that's there, so that when we do come in, we can just load all of the appliances into that enclosed trailer, and then once it's full, we hook it up to a truck and we take it away. That might be the best option, because then we're doing less work, we're also making less noise, because we're not having to unload the appliances and then reload them again when we come back to reload them. So that might,
It would be parked in that area that's unusable for parking.
right, and the trailer would be, between 14 and 16 feet long, and I don't think it's really gonna encroach on that parking if we remove that dumpster area and we just put it in that back left corner,
All right,
so.
we'll get some additional ideas from the staff before we're finished.
Jacob Williams?
All right, thank you very much.
Oh, okay, great.
Thank you.
Okay,
He did it.
any questions for me anymore?
No, I think we're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I will open this meeting for public comment regarding this agenda item. Anyone has public comment, I'd ask you to come forward to the podium. Seeing none, I'll close public comment period and bring discussion back up to the commissioners for discussion.
I would like to get some input from staff concerning the outdoor storage and, you know, what we can and cannot say we would like to see as far as, you know, an enclosure, a trailer, you know, a prohibition, what, you know, all of that.
Yeah, so if the commission finds it acceptable, we would be okay with if they wanted to potentially enlarge the enclosure area for a dumpster. I'm not sure, is there, Jared, if you'll remind me, is there any reason why a trailer couldn't be stored?
Not if it was in a screened area.
If it's
functioning as part of that sort of recycling, trash, that kind of thing. What we really don't want to see also is like a constant, the outdoor storage of items for sale would be a really big concern. If we're screening an area for things to be hauled away, not as big a concern, but it should be screened.
Yeah, that's our main concern, is that it is screened at least.
So you're saying they could have the trailer, but it would have to be fenced in?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
inside some sort of
if we were to say something along the lines of all material must be stored inside the business or in a fully enclosed area that keeps the material out of sight,
perfect.
that would be appropriate.
That's appropriate. Yes.
All right, any other questions for staff?
I just have one point of clarification
Sure.
for me. We've got secondhand store, and then in the definition, it says allow sales of antiques and secondhand merchandise. So, but do we need to specify anything about the appliances, or is that just under that umbrella?
It's just kind of under the same umbrella.
Okay.
In the staff report, it mentions the land use code. It cites the land use code, and that's what dictates what's used.
Okay,
And that, I believe, just says secondhand merchandise.
okay, thank you.
No problem.
All right, anything else from commissioners?
No.
All right, I'd ask
Thank you.
for a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that the Planning Commission approve a conditional use permit allowing for the operation of a secondhand retail shop within the CD zone on the property located at 284 East, 4500 South, subject to conditions 1 through 8 as stated in the application, with the addition of a 9th condition that shall read, all material must be stored inside the business or in a fully enclosed area that keeps the material out of sight.
All right, I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that motion.
Any additional discussion? Jared, will you call a roll motion or a roll vote, please?
Mr. Markham,
Yes.
Ms. Milkevich,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Patterson,
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right. Motion passes. That's good. So there, we added a condition for you, and please work with the staff and we can get your business into Murray. Thank you. All right. Item number 6, Fight City. Requesting approval of a conditional use permit to allow a fitness facility to be located at the property 4671 South Cherry Street. Is applicant here for that? All right, we'll have you come up in a little bit, and Zach Smallwood will give us staff report.
Great. This is a conditional use application for a fitness facility. These are allowed with, subject to a conditional use permit. So we've done a couple of these in the MG zone so far. So it's located here off Cherry Street on 4671. They're located roughly there, kind of this middle unit. It is in the MG zone. This is kind of a site plan where they show the parking that is available to them. As you can see down here, maybe not. 11 spots down here, and then an additional 7 spots up here. The applicant, in your packet, the applicant has provided a letter from the property owner stating that they do have access to those additional parking stalls during after hours. The applicant has stated that there won't be more than 15 students per class. I'm not putting a limit on that in the conditions, but he stated that there shouldn't be more than that. The parking that is required by the Institute of Traffic Engineers states approximately 10 for this type of use. 18 are provided. So I think that he has adequate parking for that. As you can see here, there's 2 offices, 2 restrooms, and then it kind of opens up to pretty much an open mat space with dumbbells, weight machines, etc. Then there is here are a few photos. This kind of shows you where it is in location to the rest of the building. Also forgot to mention, it is class-based, so everything is kind of structured. People don't just come and go and do this. They're structured. They are operating 3 to 9 Monday through Thursdays, and then 3 to 7 on Fridays. That's PM. So with that, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve the conditional use permit to allow for this fitness facility at the property addressed 4671 South Cherry Street, subject to the 5 conditions before you. Any questions for me?
Questions for staff?
Just one question. So you said that the largest class would be at the 5:15 class, but the hours are 3 to 9. Do we know the class, I guess I can ask the applicant the class schedule, because obviously if you have 10 at one class, before 5:15 and you have 15 showing up, there may be some overlap. That's where I get a little concerned about parking. I know it says it only needs 10, but is that a concern? Do we know that at all?
I don't know
Okay.
what the class schedule is, but yeah.
I know I'm always early for my classes, my
That's
gym
okay.
classes.
I'm always late, so we would.
There you go.
We'll ask the applicant.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? All right, good.
Thanks.
Applicant, come forward, please. State your name and your address for the record.
My name is Eric Wallin, and it's 4671 South Cherry Street, Murray.
All right, and have you had an opportunity to review these conditions?
Yes, I have.
And are you able to comply with them?
Yes.
All right, do you have anything to add to the staff report?
I had a question about the classes. Everything starts on the 4:15, 5:15, 6:15, so there is a 15-minute gap, so they're 45-minute classes with a 15-minute gap between each class, which gives people plenty of time to come in and go out, and we don't really ever get more than 10 per class. I put it like, we sometimes might get more than 10, but that's very rare. Like, that's kind of as the other clients were, business owners were saying, we'd wish that we could get it, but the reality is that we probably won't, so.
Okay. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Anything else you'd like to add?
No.
Questions for the applicant? All right, thank you very much. All right, I will open this agenda item up for public comment. Anyone like to comment on this agenda item? Seeing none, I'll close public comment and bring it back to the staff or the commissioners for discussion or a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to move that I would like to make a motion for approval of a conditional use permit to allow a fitness facility at the property addressed 4671 South Cherry Street, subject to conditions 1 through 5 as discussed.
All right, I have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
And is there any additional discussion? So Jared, you call another vote, please.
Ms. Milkevich?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Markham?
Yes.
Yes.
Mr. Woodbury?
Yes.
Yes. All right, motion passes. Congratulations, and
Good
thank you
luck.
for doing your business, bringing your business to Murray. Thank you. All right, agenda item number 7 is Lake City Motors LLC requesting approval of a conditional use permit to allow for an auto sales business to be located at the property addressed 4195 South, 500 West in unit number 15. So is the applicant here for that project? All right, great, thank you. And Zach will give us a staff report again. Again.
I should just
Again.
stand.
All right.
So yes, this is a conditional use for auto sales at 4195 South, 500 West, unit number 15. This is commonly referred to as Garco. It's approximately here is the applicant's unit. It is in the MG zone. Auto sales are a conditional use, so it requires a hearing before your body, before you guys, not your body, but you know, you get it.
Same difference.
We
Same
got you.
difference. So
Exactly.
now the slide won't change, so now it's making it even more awkward. There we go. Okay, so this is the applicant's site plan. As you can see, he has 3 designated parking stalls here. In addition, this unit is unique in that it has 4 additional parking stalls just across, just to the north of his unit. This is a standard unit in Garco. It's 900 square feet. Let's see. We will require an ADA space be striped by the property owner. We suggest that typically the closest to the entrance, and then have the ADA striped kind of open area next to the overhead door. We've allowed that in the past. This is the applicant's floor plan. He stated 4 cars in here. I've requested, or I've put in a condition for a total of 6 cars to allow for parking of patrons to look at the cars and any display. So a total of 6 here. As you can see, there's a small office, a restroom, and then the typical layout. A couple photos from today, kind of just showing you where this is. This is the additional parking here. Between these 2 bollards here. Let's see. So with that, staff is recommending approval for this conditional use permit, subject to the 6 conditions below. Any questions for me?
Pretty straightforward.
Questions for staff?
I have one again.
Yes.
I noticed on the last picture you showed that there's this sign up there that says Lake City Moto on the building.
It does.
And I assume that falls within all sign ordinances, regulations.
I don't know.
Okay. And then the second one is, have they been operating up to this point?
I'm not sure. I think they have been.
Okay.
I think this may have come through from Christina at Code Enforcement.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. But they will be required to get, and I'm sorry, I don't know why it's not on here. If you guys would like to add a condition that that they must have a sign permit.
I think we should. They
Yeah,
have a-
I
They have
don't
a
know why.
sign.
Yeah, I don't know why it wasn't on there when I wrote the staff report.
It looked like a temporary banner. I'm not sure if it's a regular sign. I'd have to look.
Okay, well, maybe, I mean, because obviously temporary banners are limited in
Is
scope
that
and
not
time.
number 5? The applicant must have a building permit
That's
for
building
any
Which
permit.
would be,
on property.
which would be what the sign permit is. It is, in essence, a building permit.
So we don't need, do we need a second one, another condition for sign? Or does that fall within that number 5?
That's a good question. What's your opinion, Jared?
I think
Do you
we
need-
could add signage to.
Do you need to phone a friend?
adding for clarity.
Okay, yeah, let's add a condition on there, if you guys
For
would like
clarity,
to.
there's no problem in adding that.
Correct.
All right, any additional questions?
I'd like to comment that Commissioner Woodbury did a good job catching those things.
All right. He's over there studying. All
Well,
right, thank
Zach's
you.
a really good photographer.
Yeah,
So,
All right,
a new iPhone does wonder.
thank you. Would the applicant come forward, please? State your name and your address for the record.
Sebastian Moncada, 4195 South, 500 West, Suite 15 in Murray.
And have you had an opportunity to review these conditions?
I have.
And are you able to comply with them?
Yes.
All right. Do you have any additional information to provide to the commissioner?
Yeah, so when you guys were asking if we've been operating through there, we have not. There was a code enforcement lady that stopped by and ticketed one of the guys, but he wasn't actually operating. He was inside. We were still setting up and trying to register stuff with like finance companies and some warranty companies when she came in. So she gave him a ticket. We went in. We just had the hearing this 30th on Monday, and then they dismissed that.
okay,
Great.
thank you.
Anything else you'd like to provide us,
Yeah,
information-wise?
just if we can get information on the sign code.
We can address that.
Get that.
All right.
That's something they can come in,
All right.
work with Zach.
Thank you very much. Any questions from the commissioners for the applicant? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I will open this item up for public comment. Anyone would like to comment on this particular agenda item? Seeing none, I'll close public comment period and ask staff if you want to address code enforcement on, or sign code a little bit.
Just get Zach a headset, and then he can-
So I don't have the actual sign code in front of me, but I don't see an issue with the sign that they have. They'll just need to come in to the office and apply, and they can work with me. You can come in to where you applied for like your business license and stuff, and we can get them through that process. I'm not too concerned about it.
Great. All right.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any additional discussion from the commissioners? I will entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve a conditional use permit to allow an auto sales business on the property located at 4195 South, 500 West, unit number 15, subject to conditions 1 through 6, with the additional condition number 7 that reads, the applicant shall obtain a sign permit prior to hanging any outdoor signs in the business and work with staff for those.
All right, I have a motion. Is there a
I'll
second?
I'll second.
Second. Any additional discussion? All right. Jared?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, congratulations. You're
Good luck.
approved. Good luck. We'll stay in touch with staff, and we'll look forward to seeing your business down the road. All right.
Quick question.
Yes.
So you were saying, sorry. So you were saying before I put up the sign to do the code stuff, but I already have it up, so do I have to take it down? in the
No,
meantime?
we'll
Is-
coordinate with the staff.
Work
Coordinate
with,
that with
work
the
with staff on that. That's just all the conditions are prior to,
Okay.
but work with staff. We'll let Zach, figure that out.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you again. All right. Agenda number 8. Winwood Phase 1 subdivision amendment, requesting approval to amend multiple lots on a recorded subdivision on the properties located at approximately 6640 South, 700 West. Applicant here for that one? Yep, all right, good. And Zach is gonna give us another staff report. Only a couple left, Zach.
Starting to get dizzy. I'm spinning
You getting
around.
paid by the word tonight, Zach?
That would be awesome. I wish.
You haven't heard the rate yet.
No, I haven't. Oh, that's true. So this is not a conditional use permit, so we're done with those. This is a subdivision amendment that will be affecting affecting 10 lots at the address approximately 6640 South, 700 West. For the record, it's lots 155, 156, 157, 160, 161, 162, 3, 4, 166, and 167. It's located here just off of 7th West, kind of between Swinley Drive and Ellerston Drive. Those are already in. Just when this was taken, it wasn't in yet. It's in the R16 zone. This amendment will not affect the size of the lots to the point that it would create non-conforming lots at all. 6 of the lots actually grew, and 4 shrank. So this is the existing plat as it sits now. And then it's just very minute changes here, just tens of square feet, not much at all. So we are recommending that the Planning Commission approve the Winwood Phase 1 amended subdivision for those lots that I stated earlier, subject to the 7 conditions. And I will add a caveat that number 7 has been provided to the city, just so that you guys know.
All right,
Any
thank you.
questions or comments?
Questions for staff?
Come on, Scott.
All right.
Give me one.
I don't
We're
get
good.
paid by the word.
No, that's all right. Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Applicant, come forward and state your name and your address for the record.
Jacob Ballstead, Garbett Homes, 273 East North Capitol Street, Salt Lake City, Utah. Sorry, it's a corporate address.
Got it. All right, and have you had an opportunity to review the conditions for approval?
Yeah, I was just looking at those as he was talking, and they're all really straightforward. I'm sure I've seen them. I don't have any issues with any of them. So, yeah.
And are you able to comply?
Yes.
All right, and number 7's already been complied with.
Yeah, that's the really only one that's like not like gonna happen no matter. Actually, yes, it's done.
All right, would you like to add anything to the staff report?
No, thanks, staff. Thanks, Planning Commission.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I will open this item for public comment. Any public comment regarding this agenda item? Seeing none, I'll close public comment period and bring it back to commissioners for discussion or a motion.
Do you want it, Sue?
Oh, sure.
You were gonna,
I don't want you to have all the talking tonight.
well, yeah.
I'd
you-
like to make a motion that we approve the Winwood Phase 1 amended subdivision for the properties located at approximately 6640 South, 700 West, lots 155, 156, 157, 160, 161, 162, 163, 164, 166, and 167, subject to conditions 1 through 7, with 7 having already been met.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Jared, will you call a vote?
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, congratulations. We look forward to watching construction. Thanks. Moving right along, item number 9 on the agenda, Callaway View subdivision, requesting final subdivision approval for an 11-lot, single-family residential subdivision on the property located at 1104 West Winchester Street. The applicant here for that, good. And unfortunately, or fortunately, Zach will provide another staff report.
I see how you are. You're really
I like it
tired
to
of
move
me now.
around a little bit. I even like it when Jim gets up to speak, so.
Great. So this is a final subdivision review for the Callaway View subdivision. At the meeting on September, oh my gosh, 5th now, we reviewed the application for preliminary, and you guys forwarded, or you approved that. And so they were pretty much done with the items at that point. So this is just going over everything as well. So this is the existing lot as it sits now. It was rezoned to, and I apologize, I don't remember, R16. And same general stuff. It's the 11 lots here off of Callaway View Court, which is a public street. And let's see. The only major concern, not even major concern, we are recommending approval for the final subdivision. However, on item number 3, I had talked to the applicant prior, and if the staff, or I apologize, if the Planning Commission finds it agreeable, if we could remove the word vinyl from that so that he could put in, he is proposing a wrought iron fence along that back side. So as long as there's fencing there, that's all that that planning staff is concerned with.
Great, thank you.
Any questions for me?
Questions for staff?
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
thanks, Zach.
Yep.
The applicant, come forward. State your name and address for the record, please.
My name's Corey Nielsen, 1583 East, 6670 South.
And have you had an opportunity to read the conditions for
We have,
approval?
yes,
And are you able to comply with those?
absolutely.
And do you have anything in addition to add to the staff report?
I don't, just the wrought iron fence. We looked at that after and would love to do that on that far north side and east side.
All right. Any
Well, I don't
questions?
think vinyl is a great idea around a golf course anyway, to
No.
tell you the truth. It's a bit of a challenge for people, even though they shouldn't be hitting that way. It's, let's see if we can put one through.
Right on.
Dented fence. All right. Any other questions?
hole in one.
Could be. All right. Thank you very much. And we'll open this item for public comment. Does anyone have comment regarding this agenda item? Seeing none, I will close the public comment period and bring discussion up to the commissioners for discussion or a motion.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the final subdivision for the proposed Callaway View subdivision on the property addressed 1104 West Winchester, subject to the 4 conditions with the change to condition number 3, striking vinyl from the condition.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion? Jared, one more roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. All right. Motion passes. Congratulations. We'll watch construction over
Look
there.
forward to seeing those pop up.
And a good steel
Make the windows
fence.
strong. I got a bad slice. So.
All right. Agenda item number 10
Afford to go golfing.
is 5729 Cottages, requesting preliminary and final subdivision approval for a 2-lot, single-family residential subdivision on the property located at 5729 South, 700 West. And is applicant here for that item? Great, we'll have you up in a little bit. Zach, another staff report, please.
Yeah. So this is a subdivision, a 2-lot subdivision for 5729 South, 700 West. As you recall, this was recently rezoned from R18 to R16. This property unfortunately had a fire last year. I think it was last December, and it's since been bought up and had a rezone to R16, so they would be able to subdivide this into 2 lots. Here is the subject parcel. Let's see, the 2 lots are approximately 7,815 square feet. That's the one that faces Anderson and 700 West. It's on the corner there. And lot 2, which is on the east side of the property, is 7,865 square feet. Both well within the 6,000 square foot minimum. They do have a couple changes that need to be made. That they're working with engineering. Some of the PUE lines, I believe, on the rear need to be 10 feet. They're working with engineering on that currently to get that completed. The R16 zone does allow for a front setback of 20 feet. Sides, interior sides are 5 feet, and a corner side yard is 20 feet. And they are showing those here. You can see kind of the building lot, building envelopes there. They are allowed to build up to a max height of 35 feet. And the existing fence is proposed to remain as well. Couple photos of the existing conditions. They did get a demolition permit to clear out the land. So everything is taken care of there. They will be required to install new sidewalk along there as well. Right now, I believe it's just an asphalt base there.
On Anderson.
They will be required to put in the typical improvements for a subdivision. So with that, staff is recommending that the Planning Commission approve the preliminary and final subdivision at 5729 South, 700 West, subject to the 5 conditions in front of you guys. Any questions for me?
Questions for staff? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And as applicant, you come forward, and state your name and address for the record, please.
Yes, my name is Mark Snow, 7777 South, 300 East.
And have you had an opportunity to review these conditions?
Yes.
And are you able to comply with them?
Yes.
Do you have anything to add to the staff report?
Nope. Looks
Right.
clean cut.
Any questions for the commissioners?
I would
Applicant?
just like to tell the applicant that I think this is a wonderful project. I think it's important for the neighborhood as well that everything move on from what's transpired there.
I agree.
And I'm very excited to see this take place.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. I will open this item for public comment. Anyone here like to comment regarding this agenda item? Seeing none, I'll close public comment period and bring it back to the commissioners for a little discussion or a vote. Motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve the proposed preliminary and final subdivision known as 5729 Cottages on the property address 5729 South, 700 West, subject to conditions 1 through 5.
Can I say?
Oh, go ahead. That's
So
fine.
3 of them. Lisa,
That's just fine.
Commissioner Malkavic.
Lisa, it's yours.
Okay, I second the motion.
Since you just took a vote.
The motion and a second. Is there any additional discussion?
Do it for formality.
Right. Another roll call vote, please, Jared.
Yep.
Yes.
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 Yes. All right, congratulations. Motion passes.
Quick question. Are you gonna be building those, or are they gonna, okay, so they're gonna be, you'll be building and houses for sale? Yeah. Okay.
Great,
My
great
daughter-
project.
My daughter asked.
Look forward to seeing your project. Thank you.
Wait a second, I'm confused. You're
All
not
right.
Zach.
He gets a little break. I thought
Agenda
Jared was gonna
item
be
number
after me.
11,
We'll
we're
see.
getting close to the end. Chapter 17.48, off-premises signs, requesting text amendment to Chapter 17.48 of the Murray City Municipal Code regulating off-premises signs and amending the land use ordinance for sections 17.48.040 definitions, 17.48.260 off-premises signs, 17.48.7270 height adjustment and relocation for existing outdoor advertising signs, and 17.48.280 electronic message signs.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Hacker. So we're going to talk about off-premise signs for a few minutes tonight. The Planning Commission will recall that we've recently gone through a rewrite of our sign code for Murray City. Took quite a bit of time. It was quite extensive to go through that process and get a new code adopted. During that process, we elected not to address off-premise signs or outdoor advertising. We decided we would come back at a later date and present those amendments to you, and that's what we're doing tonight. So this is all basically, this amendment has to do with off-premise signs, outdoor advertising, billboards. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. So we are looking at doing some definitions. Well, there are some proposed new definitions, and you have those before you. There's 4 in the text right off the beginning. And they are specific to off-premise signs within section 1748.260, 1748.270, and section 1748.280 of the sign code. Other definitions that you see that have been struck out in the draft have been removed from this section as they are already located within the definition section of the sign code. So they're already in the sign code. The only definitions that we have that are applicable are the new ones dealing with off-premise signs. So Utah Code section 109A 512 through 513 addresses non-conforming off-premise advertising signs as well as allowed maintenance. The proposed language in this section is being revised, allowing for an owner of an off-premise sign to repair, refurbish, repaint, modify, or upgrade, or otherwise keep a legal non-conforming off-premise sign safe and in a state suitable for use. So the term static is used for a lot of these signs. The older billboards that we see along the I-15 corridor, they just advertise one thing at a time. This would allow them to upgrade from static to EMC. Which we'll talk about as well. So we also have a section dealing with height adjustments and relocations of off-premise or outdoor signs. Utah Code section 727507 and 727510 addresses height adjustments and relocation for existing off-premise signs. The proposed language in this section allows for the relocation of a sign within 5,280 feet. Should have said 80, not 8. So that's a mile, basically, of its prior location and no closer than 300 feet from an off-premise sign along the same side of a street, highway, or interstate. This section also includes language allowing for additional height for non-interstate highway-oriented off-premise signs and interstate-oriented off-premise signs. And then we have electronic message center signs, which we just recently put into some of the changes we made for our sign code dealing with the pedestal signs for the mall and other users. In this case, for outdoor advertising, we have Utah Code section 109A 513 allows for a sign owner to structurally modify or upgrade a billboard. The proposed language in this section allows for an interstate-oriented off-premise sign to have an EMC adjacent to I-15 and 215 without conditional use approval if located a minimum of 300 feet away from a residential use. This section also allows for a non-interstate highway-oriented off-premise sign to have an EMC with conditional use approval if located a minimum of 300 feet away from a residential use. So where we have most of these are on I-15, and there are some examples on I-215. We have some pretty extreme grades on 215 that run through Murray, so not a lot of availability there. But we do also have billboards on city streets. We have them on 53rd South. We have them on State Street. We have them on 9th East. We have them on 13th or Van Winkle Expressway, for example. So there are some opportunities there for EMC, but those will be looked at case by case and will require conditional use permit review. just like a pedestal sign would for Fashion Place Mall, and we'd look at that distance from the homes to the mall. Same type of thing applies here. So we have some findings that we've made. The proposed text amendments are consistent with Utah Code section 10.9A 512 through 513. The proposed text amendments are consistent with Utah Code section 72.7.507 and 72.7.510. The proposed text amendments are consistent with the purpose of Title 17, that's our land use ordinance, and the proposed text amendments are consistent with the goals and policies of the Murray City General Plan. As a result, staff recommends that the Planning Commission forward a recommendation of approval to the City Council for the proposed ordinance amendments to Chapter 1748, off-premise signs within the Murray City Municipal Code. And I just want to say what we've done, myself and Bryant Farnsworth from the City Attorney's Office, is we've just gone through state code, and these proposed changes are what we understand needs to be changed in our ordinance so we can be compliant with state code provisions, allowing for off-premise signs, outdoor advertising, to make these changes that have been put in place, by our decision makers. And that's what we're doing here. We're in no way, shape, or form trying to take anything away. We're just trying to be consistent with state code as we understand it. Thank you. Any questions for staff?
I have one small question, just for clarity. Is the 300 feet from a residential area drastically different than what we had before? It's
No,
the same? Yeah.
no, that's what we have. We came up with that provision when we went through our sign ordinance recently.
It's not
We
the same.
also, and let me answer this very quickly. Let me go to the EMC section, .280. It's our understanding, we did research, if you remember, we had an individual come from the Sign Association. He doesn't represent the outdoor advertising industry, but represents a lot of other sign users throughout the United States. And we got into the language about the LED, the LCD, or flipper matrix, which is an old technology, but we got into not exceed 0.3 foot candles over ambient lighting conditions, all of that stuff, if you'll recall. It's our understanding that the outdoor advertising industry is using that same spec, because if it's too bright, it's too much for the cars passing by. It needs to be the right type of light so it doesn't distract them. And so they're using that same spec as Fashion Place Mall would use for their signs, or Southtown Mall, or University Mall, that have all upgraded and redone their sign package or program in the last few years. Any other questions of staff at this time? I think we may have some folks here from the industry, and we'll see what they have to say. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yep.
All right, I will open this item up for public comment. Anyone like to comment? No comments? I will close the public comment period and bring this agenda item up for the commissioners for your discussion or a motion.
Well, I think that the lack of public comment and the detailed report that staff provided us speaks very loudly to the time and effort put into this, and I think staff is to be commended, because I know that the industry protects their territory very strongly, and if this had any deficiencies, we would hear about it. So thank you for being so thorough on this.
All right, I'll entertain a motion.
I already put my paper away.
Mr. Chair, I'd like to make a motion that we forward a recommendation of approval to the City Council for the proposed ordinance amendments to Chapter 17.48, off-premise signs within the Murray City Municipal Code.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Is there additional discussion?
Sorry.
Jared?
Ms. Patterson,
Yes.
Ms. Wilson,
Yes.
Ms. Milkovich,
Yes.
Mr. Markham,
Yes.
Mr. Woodbury.
Yep.
Mr. Hacker.
Yes. All right. And I would echo Commissioner Markham's comments. Thank you for the work you put into this. Appreciate it. And this is a recommendation that's forwarded to Murray City Council for their consideration. Right. Agenda item number 12, policies and procedures, amendments regarding deadlines, submissions of materials for planning commission meetings.
I'm back.
Zach, this is your last opportunity.
Yeah.
You're not Susan.
I'm not Susan. No. So, if you guys remember, on August 1st, the Planning Commission had a discussion on providing items or providing material to you guys at public hearings, such as detailed reports, kind of annotated images, things like that. And if you guys actually, regardless if you look at them, if you accepted them, they could become part of the record, and any appeal that could be taken into account without your guys' review. So we had a small discussion on having a deadline on accepting documentation. So staff has come forward with your guys' recommendation, a 1 p.m. 2 days prior. So that'd be 1 p.m. typically on Tuesdays. So if that is, so that this is just amending your policies and procedures. So all you really need to do, this is just a verbal yay or nay type. This isn't a roll call vote. So we are recommending that you adopt the proposed changes to your policies and procedures.
I do have a question.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
I do too.
So the 48-hour rule
Mm-hmm.
is a lovely rule, I'm sure. Is that a minimum 48? Because obviously our 1 p.m. or is this
Being
just
struck, 48 hours is being struck, so it's 1 p.m. 2 days prior to the meeting.
right? But we're just saying, so like, because it says with Utah code, that's what they recommend, the 48 hours, right? I was just on the cover letter. The Utah Public Notice website recommends, the website requires that events have a 48-hour rule. So what I'm saying is, I know we're striking 48 hours,
Right.
but we're not going to have someone come back and say you're requiring it more than 48 hours.
No. So I reached out to the Utah League of Cities and Towns. Her name is Meg Ryan, just so you guys know. It is,
Oh.
yes. And she,
It's cute.
I asked her about it,
After
and there is no state law requiring a certain amount of time. That's up to you guys.
Okay.
See, I was under
To
the
submit.
impression agendas that need to be published prior to
correct.
a public meeting, it's 24 hours.
That is correct.
Because I deal with that all the time with agendas being modified and not meeting that deadline, and so they can't list those modifications in there, so.
Exactly, that's correct. So there's no state law requiring
Okay.
a minimum requirement of how much time a citizen can present information.
Now, this doesn't prohibit someone coming tonight and in the course of public comment, giving us a photograph, presenting a petition, something like that. Is that correct?
That is correct,
Okay.
and that is up to your discretion as well.
No, some good points were made to that effect in our previous discussion, and I just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page with that.
Yes, that's correct.
And I just wanted to make sure that our deadline isn't something we're going to have to change in 6 months when someone comes out and says, wait, you guys are outside of this obscure code in the state, and now you have to honor that.
Got to be
So-
willing to change, Scott.
And if-
You
No,
gotta-
I'm a stickler. I want to
gotta be
pass it once,
flexible.
get it right, and move on to the next
That-
issue.
you
That
know.
I
would
want to
be
move on to
great.
small homes and chickens and bees.
There you go.
Tiny homes and exactly. That's called a coop.
Yeah.
I think this makes it clearer to the applicant.
Yep.
The amount of time.
I
and
agree.
What the time frame is.
Yes.
And I think it makes it easier for the staff as well.
I think it's great.
It was just a huge gray area before.
It was a huge.
It irritated some of us, and others were fine with it.
That's all right. We're good.
All right, any other questions for staff? And I'll entertain a motion.
There isn't a motion.
Well,
Is
There
I'll
is-
Oh, there
entertain
is.
one.
There is a motion, but
Have to
there's
make it up, Scott.
It's
Okay.
just a
To adopt the policies as addressed in the.
I'll make, what is it in our packet, Phil?
page-
It's,
What is it?
no.
On your sleeve.
You
Yeah,
just,
it's not good.
Lisa, you got it
Oh,
then.
no, that's all you.
No, it's on me. Page 3.
Page 3.
Please, commissioners.
Please, please, please. I don't even see it. All right, someone else can do it.
Okay,
I don't know.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would like to make a recommendation,
Motion.
a motion. I would like to make a motion that the Planning Commission adopt the changes to our administrative rules concerning the submission of materials for review by the Planning Commission, as stated in the presentation to us today. And briefly, generally speaking, it reads, the deadline for submitting handouts and materials by applicants and others is established as no later than 1 p.m. 2 days prior to the meeting. If materials are submitted prior to the deadline and the commission does not have time to adequately review the material, they may decide to postpone a decision to allow for time to review the material. Staff will make efforts to communicate this requirement to applicants and the general public.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'd love to second that motion.
I just,
Well
it
stated.
was beautiful, Phil.
And is there any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion passes, and we'll thank the staff watching the streaming video for their work on this effort. Thank you, Susan.
Thanks, Susan.
Business?
And thank you, Zach, for presenting
You're most
as
welcome.
this many times. All right, so before we close, I'd like to add to the record that Travis Ney is excused from this meeting, and look for a motion, or unless there's any
I want to see
other-
if Zach has anything else he'd like to
If he
say.
could, if there's additional business,
There is just a little bit of additional business.
getting paid for this.
And I haven't cleared this with my
Uh-oh.
uppers yet, so, but, right? I believe the October 17th is going to be a pretty big meeting.
It is?
It's going to
City Hall.
have City Hall on
Yeah.
it, as well as MCCD changes.
So we're going to have our historic people here? Okay.
Yes.
Can we have an officer
Look forward
here?
to it.
So, it shall be probably a fairly large meeting.
Great.
There's an ADU on it, so,
I will not be at that meeting. I'm so sorry.
how convenient. No, I'm just kidding.
It's UEA.
And that meeting is on the 17th?
Yes, 17.
17th?
Oh,
And can
and
you
then-
talk for a minute about the 24 October training?
Yes, I can say that you are having a training on October 24th, and that, also, I'll have Jared address any items he has, but if you recall, a couple meetings ago, keep kind of looking over your packets and finding out what's useful, what's not so useful. What I'm trying to do, my goal here is to get these packets posted online, so that because they are public record,
Right.
people can request them, but I'd rather be transparent and provide them online.
Yeah.
A
I think
lot of
that's
other
excellent.
cities do that.
Excellent.
So I would like to move towards that goal. There are a couple things that I should probably have removed from the packets, so we can have that discussion on the 24th.
Okay.
So,
Great.
but keep an eye on things that you'd like to see, or that you'd like removed, or whatever.
You know, I do think it would be very, very nice to have these online. You know, like I said, for work, I go to a lot of special improvement district meetings and different, boards and things like that. And I have to take really good notes and hope that they have an extra copy of their packet there if there's something that I want to take back. And if not, hey, that's just too bad.
Exactly.
So it's a really good service to put this online. I would strongly encourage that.
It is, and I think it just provides a layer of transparency that we can, a lot of the questions that I think we get, that you guys get as a body, could be addressed, just if the packet were available to people, so.
Great
And
idea.
then if Jared has anything else to add.
The only thing that I would add is, so be thinking about that for that meeting, because we'll address that in the training meeting as well, and talk about some options that we have and show you guys some visuals and that kind of thing. But also, we we have a couple of things we wanna do for specific training, but we wanna leave in this particular year a lot of open time for just discussion and question and answer. So there's things that are on your mind, things that you wanna talk about, whether it's specific projects or potential projects or directions or concepts that you're fuzzy on, we wanna leave open time. So if we wind up with everybody nodding their heads and going, everybody loves everybody, we'll get out early. But if
Will this be just planning, or will it be city council as well?
officers as well, but not the city council.
Oh, well, it'd be nice to have somebody else there.
Yeah, hearing officers will be
Is-
invited also.
Okay. How, you know, one year we did joint training with the council. Did they say they don't want to hang with us anymore?
No, it's not really quite, it's not that direct, but no. We did actually talk about maybe doing direct or joint.
Well, I guess the voters showed them.
Yeah.
Too soon, Sue.
Especially with potentially two new
Yeah.
people coming in.
No, not potentially. There will be two.
There-
Yeah.
Yeah, there will be 2 incumbents lost.
It's probably likely that in the summer next year we'll do some kind of joint training.
Okay.
All right.
So
Great.
For this one, the 24th, it'll just be you guys and the
Okay.
answers.
Awesome.
Anything else for staff?
I just have one thing. I want to apologize for my pink phone that sent emails out without my permission to those of you that got them. I'm
it's just
so
about the
sorry.
training. I
don't
didn't-
even.
I
I'm
didn't
not
see
even sure how it
anything
happened, other than I was putting Larry's doctor's appointments in my phone, and got a call from Susan that said, "Did you know your phone's sending out emails?"
No, I didn't know. I didn't.
I only
didn't
knew
get it,
that
so.
after I was here last night. No, I was the only one here, so. No. All right,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Say goodnight.
Thank you.
Jack, well done.
I am so
I
sorry.
thought you were gonna announce your resignation and this was your swan song.
I was gonna